Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the local show, the 2023 First Summer Weekend Edition. I'm your host, Tom Soccocio Jr., along with my good friend and co-host, Steve Roberts. The local show features conversations about local businesses. We talk to the business owners, CEOs, CFOs, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, business advocates, and other business-friendly organizations. Now we learn how they got into business and why they do business right here in Syracuse, New York, and where their businesses might be going in the future. You're going to hear all about their successes, challenges, opportunities, marketing, and advertising. We're broadcasting from the Zoey Advertising Studios, sponsored by Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Get Us Federal Savings and Loan. We say a hearty, healthy summer morning to Steve Roberts. How are you?
Bass season's open, Tom.
Is it? Are you sure?
Yes.
You're sure?
Actually,
when is it?
It was open last weekend. I didn't know it.
Oh, okay.
I caught Billy and I threw him back thinking, I can't keep you. Yeah, I caught a nice, can you brag about a sunfish? That's probably not that. I caught a sun.
You can.
I caught a big
the one that got away.
sunfish. Yeah. I caught a nice perch, a nice bass, and then a bunch of smelly, slimy pickerel. I don't know. I'm not a pickerel.
A sunfish is the cousin to the perch, you know.
I thought, did
It's
you know
either
the
a brother or a
walleye
sister.
pike is actually a perch?
Is actually a perch, yes.
Because they taste
Which
great.
is barbaric when you think that you use little perch minnows to catch.
Correct. They eat their own. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But no, we caught some fish. We go out and we drift. We're not, as you know, we're not serious.
Yes, you drift
anything.
because your boat hardly works. Yes, I understand.
It works better when it's on. It runs fine. Wide open and everything. It's just when you go slow. Remember the old two-stroke motors? Where you
Yes,
put
I do.
Clunk, clunk. There's a little of that going on. But
Yeah. Your boat is between a 2-cylinder and 6-cylinder.
Yeah, so it's a 3.5 cylinder.
It's a 3.5.
But it's fine. And Tom, unlike your life, it's paid for.
Oh, right. Hey, I like to live on the ragged edge of what do you call that? Debt. Yes, that was a debt.
Bankruptcy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always fun. Hey, look, we got a great show for you. Stick around. It's summertime, so enjoy it. Diane Kupperman's going to be up first. She's the president and CEO of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Matt Major is the owner of and founder of Growth Mode Technologies. Dr. Nicole Anzalone will stop by. She's the owner of Syracuse Hearing Solutions. And then John Tamino, co-founder of In My Father's Kitchen. Charlie Van Patten, owner of Mattress Makers. He'll be by. Jeff Zarnowski, he's the orchardist at Z's Nutty Ridge. I like to call it Nutty Ridge Farm, but it's not really a farm. It's just Z's Nutty Ridge.
Well, it is. They have trees there.
Yeah.
So it's a tree farm.
Yeah. Right. There we go. I knew I was sort of right.
I'm here to help.
Joe Silvani is the general manager of the Rice Box. He'll wrap us up today. So that's all on the local show. Do stick around. Right now, a bright young lady who's been helping people for, how many years has it been that you've been there?
A lot of years. Every one of them the best.
And how do you do that and still maintain yourself to be within the ages of 25 to 35?
Well, I'm pushing the edge of 35
So
there you go.
But you've been around for a while. What inspired you to become involved with Make-A-Wish Foundation?
Gosh, I was in the right place at the right time. They were looking for their first paid employee, and I think the job description was warm body to answer phone, and I fit that description, and here we are 31 years later, and I couldn't be more grateful.
31 years.
31 years.
We started when you were 4. That's
12,
amazing.
but
okay.
thank you.
Back in the 90s, we used to do Christmas parties for them.
Okay.
With the DJ company,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's how far back I know Diane here.
Yeah.
So, Diane, how do you, and I mean, this is a big question for me, and it was tough back then when I was doing those Christmas parties. My kids were only, they had to be newborns, and 1 or 2 years old.
They loved you then.
Yes, it's when they didn't speak that I got along with them very well. But, just looking at the kids and knowing what everyone's going through at Make-A-Wish, how do you stay upbeat? How do you do this day in and day out and maintain your
Well, first of all,
personality?
we're the happy.
Yeah.
We're the happy and we're the hope in a really difficult time in these kids' lives. And that would be number one. And I think number two is just living with a grateful heart every day with between what we see our kids go through and how we see this community step up and what they wouldn't do to help us make these wishes come true is just incredible. So that's a pretty powerful combination.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah,
is there any misconceptions? People say, "Oh, I know it," and then it's not true.
The biggest misconception that people have is that we are about terminally ill kids.
Okay.
And that's a tough one to dispel because, of course, if a child is diagnosed with a terminal illness, they would automatically be eligible for Make-A-Wish. But that's not a word that we use in our vernacular because it's not very hopeful.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is, who knows? Who knows when?
It's true.
And we have seen day in and day out the impact of a wish. And I think that's what's really critical to take away from our mission. Certainly, wishes are a great thing to do. They're a nice thing to do. They mean so much to not only the kids, but their families, their communities. But at the end of the day, wishes have physiological impact on these kids. And while we don't study that, because that's not what we do, we just simply grant wishes. But the medical community has taken note of the medical responses, the physiological responses that kids have who are either waiting or who have had wishes.
Wow.
And we've seen it anecdotally for years, knowing that the kids come to us at a really critical time in their life. And we've had Wish Kids serve on our board. We've had Wish Kids bring their kids back to our office to show them their star on our Wish Kid honor wall.
Wow.
And of course, not all of our stories have happy endings, but those parents and families will tell us that the impact of the wish at that time in their life was extraordinary.
And I love the passion that you are sharing, and YouTube listeners will see wet eyes a little bit, right? Because we're the first paid employee, but that's not what this is about.
No.
That just happens that you need to eat, and they should pay you,
or that they needed somebody to help steer the ship with them because we were growing at that time. It was all volunteer for the first 7 years, but we served 15 counties, and at that point, we were granting wishes to kids that lived beyond our 15 counties in Western New York because there wasn't a chapter there. And our philosophy has always been every eligible child.
Is it true that every wish ends up at Disney?
that is another misconception, and I'm so glad you had that. All roads lead to Disney.
I just thought I'd mention that. I don't know.
It's funny because that happiest place on earth is still a very popular wish, and we were so happy this past year to reopen up domestic travel after COVID because so many kids wanted to go to Disney World across the country, across 58 chapters. There were more than 5,000 kids waiting to go to Disney.
Wow.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
the impact. That's the impact, right? But we do so many other things. You're talking about fishing. We're so excited because we are doing a fishing boat for a kiddo right now who's in the pipeline. He wants a John boat, and he wants to go fishing. So maybe we should hook him up with you.
You want him to catch fish.
Yes, but I know people.
You know people.
No, in all seriousness. And people, this is how things happen, right?
It's exactly how things happen.
So briefly, how can people get involved? How can people support the cause?
Well, gosh, we have needs every single day of the year, and we are in the fourth quarter of our year right now. We are on track to grant the most number of wishes we have ever granted, 21 wishes short of our 92 wish goal. So we are working hard this last quarter to make sure those 21 wishes and the funding comes in to make those happen. But really, every dollar that's donated to us in an in-kind way, this fishing boat, we have had some people very generously step up, and this wish will probably not cost us anything, to be truthful.
But it does. I mean, your time and your equity.
It
wouldn't have happened
compare.
without you. So people can get involved at cnywish.org. Is that right?
That's right.
CNY. I'm guessing that's for Central New York.
How did you
I'm just guessing.
Absolutely right.
I pick up on these things. CNYwish.org, Tom.
All right.
.wish.org.
CNYwish.org. Did I say that wrong?
CNY. Oh, yes, they changed it. CNY.wish. Yeah. Either way. Yes.
Either way we get there.
Either way you get there.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. Diane Kupperman right there, President and CEO of Make-A-Wish Foundation. You have a great rest of the day, okay?
Thank you. You too.
All right. Matt Mazur's coming up next, founder of Growth Mode Technologies. We'll have an interesting tech conversation on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Gettys Federal Savings and Loan and Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Summertime all around. Welcome to the summer edition of The Local Show, Steve's favorite time of the year, and because it precedes winter.
There are 3 seasons, and then there's that other one that I am not a fan of.
Well, you go on enough vacations, you think you'd have enough nice weather wherever you're going.
You would think, Tom. So Tom, you're right. Judy and I, we'll go away. We'll travel a little bit here and there.
Yes.
You, of course.
Some of my favorite times are when you go away.
Yeah. How's the work in the house coming?
Oh, golly. I'll tell you what. It was not a fun week for me.
Okay.
And it should be, right? I keep saying to the wife, shouldn't this be a glorious time? We're taking a house that, wasn't quite what we wanted to begin with and changing it, and we're hiring people and taking our hard-earned money and giving it to them for a service. Do you think you could find anybody who does a service well these days? It's hard. It's hard.
It's hard.
And we champion those people.
Yeah, and it's messy. I mean, even for the people that do it, okay, we want to be there, but the product didn't come in, or it's stuck in the
there's a lot
thing,
of that.
and there's so they're in a position where they're absolutely interruptive.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay, so now
life interrupt us.
It's not like
no doubt.
It's not like okay, trim the trees sometime in the next month.
Everything
totally
has gone
interrupted.
slower.
Right.
Now, let me talk about the positives, though. Prime Heating and Air is helping me out doing a little hood vent thing, and they're wonderful and came in right away. The women at work, wonderful people. We had our cabinets painted and redone in their special spray booths.
You were going to get new cabinets.
Yeah, we were going to get new cabinets until we saw that was $50,000 just for the cabinets.
It's a rounding error, isn't it?
Without
for you.
them in.
Got to get in the cabinet business.
Yeah, right. And I said, no, that's not going to work. So they refurbish, they kind of go through and repaint and sand and do all that. So they were fantastic. And then I got Mike Johnson is coming by to do something in the backyard so we can actually sit someplace. And then maybe I'll have you over at that point to actually sit there. And Comfort Windows and Doors is doing some stuff there. That door won't be coming for a little bit.
Who's doing the pool?
There is no pool.
Oh, okay. That's right.
We're lucky that we're going to have the house. And then we have to pay for it all.
Yeah.
So,
But you're doing it all at once, more or less.
Yeah.
So 2 months of torture, and then
hopefully, everything will
then just payments
out.
on
That's the way to go.
After
which
that.
means, Steve, I'm going to have to keep working here.
Oh,
golly.
I'll go on vacation again. That's okay.
But, speaking of good service, we can talk about Gettys Federal Savings and Loan before we talk to Matt. So,
well, they that's what they're known for. That is what they're known for.
Yeah.
And when people, it's funny, back over the many years we've been working with Gettys and done some trade show things with them. It's like people always come up and say, hey, you get our mortgage, or hey, we know you. I can't imagine going by one of these corporate big national banks and going, hey, we know you. I think they're like, who are you? Go away. But not Gettys. They are, of course, a great place to get a mortgage. There's not as many houses out there.
No. What do you call that? Inventory is
inventory is low, and
Yeah.
the interest rates have picked up for everyone. But rates are still great at Gettys. Boy, try to say that quickly, Tom. But also, people can get it at Gettys, but people can also save it at Gettys. The CD rates have come way up.
Yes.
And if the stock market's got you going, you can put it right there.
Two locations.
Yep, Fairmount and over in Manlius, near the fishing stream.
Yes.
So get it at Gettys Federal Savings and Loan.com, Tom.
All right. Matt Mazur's back on the show with us, founder of Growth Mode Technologies. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing great, Tom.
Good to see you again. Always a pleasure. And explain what your company is and what you do.
Well, we are your local IT department, and as Steve and I will probably talk about in a few minutes, he's helped us with sort of a little bit of a rebrand. So we're actually kind of leading with that. So we are now going out as your local IT department by Growth Mode Technologies. But in a nutshell, that really sort of says what we do. We are a organization, company, charity, what have you. We are their IT department, and we can do everything from basic support to big projects, and even implementing some AI in different places now is something we're getting into.
So how is it that you're an IT leader? Of course, you have a big team over there, and you're not a mean, angry white male. How did you do that? Because my experience, you go to a computer company back when I was using mostly PC stuff before I switched. It was always, it was always like such a hassle and such an attitude, and they were smarter than me, which clearly they were.
Well, everyone's smarter than you.
But it was it feels like there's a different culture from what I've experienced.
Well, that's what we've tried to build here specifically, because you're absolutely right. Like nerds in our field are inherently antisocial. That's just the reality, right? That's the personality type. And I know a lot of great people who absolutely are incredible in front of a machine, and they have no interest in interacting with a human. So one of the things we've done at our company, one of the reasons I believe I've personally been successful, is because that customer service, that human piece, is always a top priority. And all of our folks, there's no shortage of people with technical skills, but everyone we hire, we almost look at the customer service, the human aspect, their personality, more than, or at least first, before the technical side.
How do you, because they're harder to find. And I don't mean to
hard to
I don't
find.
mean to stereotype, but I guess I am a bit.
Well, and when we're talking about this, the scene in The Internship comes to mind. Did you see that movie, The Internship?
No, of course I didn't.
Okay.
Tell us about it, Tom.
well, Vince Vaughn and the other guy.
Yeah, no.
They go to Google to get jobs, and they're interns, but they're older, right? So they run into the one guy who's head of search. And the guy who's head of search, who also happens to be the voice of Olaf in Frozen, but he's I can't remember the actor's name, but he's really funny, and he's always wearing headphones to block out the people, and he says he's not very good with people. So that was his whole thing, was that he's a genius, but he just doesn't want to interact with people. So he keeps these headphones on with no music. It's just to block people out.
I thought there was going to be something funny at the end of that. I'm kind of disappointed with the story, but I guess it's an analogy. I was waiting. I thought I was going to chuckle.
Well, before Matt goes on, there's a lot of people out there, and one of the things we say in marketing is don't use the vernacular for your industry, or don't talk about microphones or whatever. We're talking about IT. What does IT really mean?
So the acronym is information technology. It's a fancy way to say computers. When I started in this business, I worked on computers, and that was everybody understood what you said. And now, especially in the corporate world, IT is the term, but it's all sorts of technology. It honestly goes well beyond just computers these days.
These days, of course.
Anything that has electricity and a screen and a button is typically something that we have our hands in.
Tom's a refrigerator.
Yes.
I got a cool one. I got an actual iPad that's in the refrigerator.
I remember you were telling me about that.
Can't make that. So can you hang over to the next set?
Sure.
Chat some more, but it's Matt from growthmodetech.com.
That's it.
But we're morphing a name here, so we'll have more about that.
Coming right up.
Awesome.
All right. So stick around right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR 1069 FM.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Gettys Federal Savings and Loan and Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Back into it. Back at it. Row your boat right into summertime with Tom and Steve. We've been talking with Matt Major. He's the founder of Growth Mode Technologies, undergoing kind of a renaissance and a rebranding here with Zoey Advertising.
Well, we've been talking, And unlike most IT people, Matt's
he actually talks.
He's not socially inept, and neither is his team. So when we started to unpack some of the ideas, your local IT department is their slogan, and it kind of has been for a long time.
Yeah.
And the growth mode technologies was a big over-encompassing thing. But the reality is people understand local IT.
Yes.
In growth mode, they could think you sell fertilizer. So,
Sure, it could be anything.
And some of those places do.
Yeah.
But
If you are a fertilizer company, where we have a name for
so
it.
if you are on YouTube, you can actually see the new logo.
Very nice.
That is your local IT department, which explains it. And Tom, there was an IT crisis at Zoey last week.
Really?
Did you know?
Did you touch something?
Maybe. Don't be no, Matt's not.
Yes,
so
okay.
One of my hard drives decided to not be present. And so Brad, when Brad here does the he's like our local, he plugs things in and he knows what he knows and he's great-hearted. Came in, he's like, okay, hang on. And he looked at me like,
So this was the hard drive in your laptop?
No, I don't have a laptop. This is the hard drive in my extra
all-in-one,
with, I don't know, 150,000 photos in it that I thought were backed up.
Okay.
Matt, tell us what we've won.
Yeah, that was fun. So
that was sarcasm, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
What did he do wrong?
It was
Matt?
effectively, he didn't do anything wrong. The thing just died. That's what they do. And,
Yeah, right.
And
That's what they do.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You had an external hard drive that was we call them a spinner, but it's a traditional platter hard drive that actually has metal discs spinning inside. Mm-hmm. And those, like anything mechanical, eventually will break down.
Okay.
And,
I didn't know you were still using that.
and a lot of them do. It's not even necessarily hard to find still these days, but the new better way is what they call a solid state drive.
Sure.
It's all contained on chips and there's no moving parts.
That's all I use in my studio, of course.
But those still aren't even foolproof. And one of the things we're going to do, when Brad and I had the conversation of moving you, at this point, your organization's big enough, you need a little more of a business solution. And Brad and I had that conversation earlier, and we're going to get you set up with something that will provide that storage, but also redundancy. So even if one of these drives, this one disk goes bad, doesn't matter. There's
It's backed
multiple.
up on something
We
else.
thought we
You
were
can
on a
swap
time
them
machine and it was backing up some,
Yeah.
but it wasn't doing it. No. So I had a slight panic.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm not the first person, but Brad was like, "We got to talk to Matt."
Right.
And it was simple. And he came in and then he said, "I'm taking this with me," and I quote. And then he was gone. And
Matt, how reliable are cloud services?
Oh, they're as reliable as it gets. But the one thing to keep in mind with the cloud, a lot of people use, we encourage a lot of people to use their Google Drives, their OneDrive, things of that nature. You're not going to have what you experience in the cloud. You're never going to have the drive fail and you lost your data.
Yeah.
But it is not necessarily backed up in the cloud. And that's something very important for people to understand.
Oh, yeah.
There
What
is
does that
literally that one copy of that one file. Mm-hmm. If you go in and delete your file,
It's done. Yeah.
It's it.
There's no redundancy. Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that there couldn't be. We actually, one of the things that we build into our standard service when you're an IT customer is a cloud backup service. That normally costs extra, but as your IT guys, I know what data loss can be more than anything, so we don't even make it a choice. We have that there, and there's a lot of different options for that. But the idea there is it's almost sort of in multiple clouds, and you have a traditional backup and versioning and all kinds of things. But in terms of where to store your files, the cloud is a great place to go because you won't have the things like Steve had here. The other thing is you can access those items from anywhere. Mm-hmm. So with everybody's workforce spread all over the world, you can work like you're in the office no matter where you are with that type of thing.
So if everybody's got a guy or gal that's their IT guy or gal that's doing things, where does your services start and stop? Like, why would they hire you when they got a guy?
Sure. There's a wide variety of reasons. And first and foremost, that guy, any guy, myself, has a limited skill set, right? Nobody knows everything, especially in this business. IT is a lot like medicine where you have your general practitioner and then you got specialists for every part you can imagine. when you got the one-man show, so to speak, they might be phenomenal at a lot of things, but there's still a handful of things that they could use some extra help with. And one of the things that we do, whether you have IT staff or not, we come in and provide an entire team. So, for one cost, you get all of these specialties. And as our team grows, your price doesn't go up. You just have more experience and more abilities to draw from because our team has expanded. And that's kind of the model that's worked really well for us and provides a lot of value.
So it's kind of like an ad agency. Mm-hmm. I'll use Zoey as an example because I'm fairly close. Social media, do some video. Of course, we do a lot of radio. We do, we can do TV. We do a ton of digital stuff, marketing things. Yes. And it's all in one roof. And we have different folks here on the team that have areas of specialty. So it's not just a one-trick pony.
Right. Exactly.
Makes sense.
Exactly.
I was going to ask you, so the name is now Your Local IT Department.
That's it. Your Local IT Department.
Announce it, Tom. Go ahead.
Well, we can stop saying growth mode technology.
Sure.
We can. So yourlocalitdepartment.com.
That'll get you there.
Look at that. Do I go DEPT.com or do I spell it out or doesn't it matter?
Yeah, so I prefer DEPT because it's shorter, but any way you would like to do it, we'll get you there. We own just about every variation you can imagine of the name, and they all bring you to the same spot.
Yes.
All right. Do you de-stress people or do you stress people out when you show up?
I try to reduce the stress level. Honestly, and that's something that we run into a lot because the smallest problem, people will lose their mind because they think they lost everything. And it's understandable.
Stop looking at me.
But 100% understandable. But, one of the things that I've always been able to do is, explain why it's not the end of the world. And usually most things are resolved. Yours, it was a little more time consuming, but the majority of things we can iron out in a couple of minutes.
And you're probably more even-tempered than me. I would have used the word stupid several times in the conversation, and you were probably a lot nicer than that. Yeah.
Listen, I can't say there aren't any curse words that are spoken in the back shop of our area when we're working on things, but yeah.
So if someone is out there a little concerned about AI, can you help people leverage AI to their advantage?
Yeah, so that's the thing, is it's a tool, right? It's not the Terminator. It is something that's far from perfect, and even the people that are using it today will show you its immediate shortcomings. So that's the thing to keep in mind, is it's just like anything else. It's like, interchangeable parts were invented, and suddenly people thought that no one was ever going to have a job again. And
Tom's worried.
It's a tool, and it will make everything better. Doesn't mean it won't cause some headaches in the process.
Yeah, I've worked with a tool for years.
I waited, and I'm just waiting. I'm going, here it comes.
Got it. You got it.
So congratulations on the name change. I think
thanks so much.
Look for it. If people have questions, they certainly can go to the website, or they can call, is it 333-0999?
That's it.
Wow, look at, that's like and that's the big area code, Tom.
Yes, the big area code, 315. 333-0999. And they can just ask questions, see if you can solve some problems that they have and maybe make it so they have less problems.
100%.
Your Local IT Department. Thank you so much, Matt. You're so well-spoken. Love to have you on.
Thanks, fellas.
Okay. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Dr. Nicole Anzalone. You can hear her next on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Gettys Federal Savings and Loan and Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
And we're back again, ladies and gentlemen, which means...
You're back too.
Yes, you are too. Thanks for joining us on The Local Show with Tom and Steve. And join us on our YouTube family now. As it grows, you can see those videos, see the behind the scenes, what the microphones look like, all that stuff.
The microphones are very interesting. Look what the guests look like.
Too.
They can't avoid, they're going to see us too. But they get to see, what does that person, did you ever see, Tom, like hear someo's voice for years and then see them go?
You asked me that before.
And how disappointing disappointing. Like you hear him, and then you go,
Yeah.
They look like that.
I was a big when he first started, Rush Limbaugh. I used to listen all the time and think this guy's hilarious. I liked him for the comedic value.
Oh, I loved him,
and he was just so funny and everything. And then they said he had his television show, and when I saw him, I went, that's Rush. I really wasn't impressed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Same with like Howard Stern too. You know, it was like
Yeah, he was never much to look at.
no, never. But people probably think the same about us.
I'm confident. I'm confident.
Actually, we don't look so bad. I was telling you the other day, I get served up our show in my YouTube feed.
Sure.
And, I click on something and I might listen for a little bit and I go, these guys are pretty entertaining. From an objective standpoint,
Right.
It was fun.
But I mean, the objective is to have an interesting conversation, get people to know the community and businesses, and maybe chuckle along the way a little bit. It's not like the old NPR, like, we're here to interview. Like those things are
Super
those painful. So speaking of painful, who's the next guest?
She's not painful. Dr. Nicole Anzalone, the owner of Syracuse Hearing Solutions. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing,
Very
Tom?
good, Doctor. Steve and I both had... what do you call those things?
Ear
screenings. Yes, we had
Hearing tests.
Hearing tests. That was it. We had the hearing test, and that was fun. I enjoyed that and found out some interesting things. Steve, for those of you who are wondering, does not have anything between his ears.
I saw sound waves. I saw the chart. I peeked over her shoulder and it made a little blip here and there. I saw some blips.
It was like an echo chamber. She blew in one ear and air came out the other side.
I got a little anxious.
Really? Why?
I don't know. It was like, did I hear that beep? Did I hear?
Right.
Did I not hear it? And of course,
you thought it was a test, like you had to pass the test.
So earlier this week, I did have. Okay, does anybody have school dreams? Like you're back in school, Tom?
Yes, I have.
had one
Actually,
day, and I had to take the algebra regions.
Oh wow!
And I'm thinking,
and you had to study.
My
don't even know
daughter's doing that today.
I don't even know. I don't even know the answer. I don't even know the answer to the first question.
Yeah,
it's like actually the basic first. Are
so you had an anxiety dream. What's that got to do with
and I
your
went,
ears?
oh my gosh, I don't have to take that. But seriously, that's not fair.
Hey, tell me about ear drops. I've been hearing a lot about this. We have a couple of families that have swimmers and everything. Mm-hmm. First of all, what is swimmer's ears or swimmer's ear, and do ear drops work?
So swimmer's ear is when you have an outer ear infection. So you could have bacteria that's been sitting in a moist, wet environment in your ear canal for a long period of time, and it causes some inflammation and irritation, itchiness, and
so that's not deep into the ear, like in your ear canal, or how deep is it?
It is in your ear canal.
Okay.
It could be up to your eardrum. You could also have a middle ear infection that's behind your eardrum in your middle ear space, and that's usually fluid buildup due to eustachian tube dysfunction. So there's different types of ear infections.
I had an infection there once.
Mm-hmm.
That explains a lot.
It was bad. I had a tube in my ear.
Oh golly!
Which is fun as an adult to put in. No, it's not.
Like the size of a hose.
And then I got an infection. And if you're sensitive, don't listen. Put the children away.
Okay.
My ear had discharge. I had to blow my ear. Like you would blow your nose. It was so bad because and it would come right through the hole. So that was an inner ear infection.
Middle ear.
It was absolutely awful. So don't get one of those.
Yeah, and that could definitely affect your hearing too. So if you start to notice some pressure, discomfort, or you feel like you can't hear as well, like your ears are congested, then definitely an ENT. It would be a good idea to see an ENT, but they'll recommend a hearing test first.
So you wouldn't take care of that if you saw that somebody had an infection or something. You'd send them off to an ENT.
Yeah, for sure, because that's a medical issue at that point.
But if they say what a lot,
they'll see him for a hearing test, because usually the ENT will require a hearing test anyway.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Even before they'll do, like if they have to do a tube like you had, they'll do kind of a before and after, or recommend a before and after hearing test.
Do you have any recommendations for people who do a lot of swimming in the summertime to protect their ears?
Yeah, you could get swimmer's plugs, ear plugs. We make custom ones that float. So if you take them out temporarily and you drop them in the water, they'll
that's
float.
cool.
Yeah.
Do they help you keep above the water, not sink, or they're not that
They're not
They don't
inner
help you
tubes.
float.
They're not flow. Those things you
They'll
put
help
on
your ears float, but yeah.
So they're custom. So why would people want those?
Because they create a better seal in your ear. So they're fit specifically for each ear. So the better seal that you get, less water leaking in your ears.
I was just thinking of a new product line for her. She could make ear floaties.
There we go.
Ear floaties. Can you imagine? Keeps your head above water.
So those are things you call ear lids?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
ear lids.
Yeah. So I came up with a really creative name, ear lids, for them. So we make custom hearing protection, swimmers plugs like those
Right.
that we spoke of, sleep plugs for those people who snore next to you.
I'm just thinking of all these competitive colleges, that have swimming programs and high schools. She could make the custom colors for the colleges and the high schools.
Oh yeah, we can make
the
swirl
whole team.
colors, glitter, everything,
Oh, wow.
that's
So
pretty
it can
cool.
look like anything, any color.
any color of the rainbow.
Can you put Tom's face on it?
Oh, get out. No, my face is too fat for that. I'll tell you that.
The extra large ones, Tom.
Actually, I can 3D print. So I have a 3D printer to make this stuff special, a special type. And I could 3D print a little image of you
Oh, okay.
and put it, as long as I could fit it in the ear mold, I could put it in an ear mold for you.
That's pretty
Wow,
cool.
local show ear lids.
Yeah, that would
Wait, Tom in one ear, Steve in the other. The symbolism is great here.
Oh, boy.
Good golly. I'll tell you what. So tell us about your locations. You have a location in Fayetteville?
Yep.
I went over to the Fayetteville Town Center.
Yeah.
They've redone that. I had to meet somebody over at the Panera, and the Panera wasn't where it was years ago. They moved everything around over there. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's down the road from you, but
Yep.
you're around Linden Corner way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So we just opened a new location in Fayetteville in the Linden Office Park.
Okay.
So it's convenient. You could get to my office from both Route 5 and 92.
Sure.
And it's a great location.
Big office, too. Lots of
Yeah,
nice
it's like,
rooms.
and then
Yeah.
Camillus out by top of the hill, Tom, for those who've been around a little while.
Yeah.
Down the road from Dr. Barry's office.
That's
Yeah.
right. So if someone wanted to make an appointment or maybe want to have a conversation, SyracuseHearingSolutions.com is both offices.
Yes.
Right.
And you could pick and choose which office is closer to you.
Okay. And they can just, Tom mentioned, we had our hearing checked, and it felt good to know what we know. Right, Tom?
And
To learn-
everybody in the office is friendly, too.
Yeah, how'd that happen?
you got
That's not
that.
true here.
And Dr. Nicole is walking around. So it's not like, you go there and she's nowhere to be found.
Right.
Usually she can be found at one or other branch, So,
Yeah, I go to both, and we continue to take care of our patients. And
Excellent.
I love to see mine.
Yeah, and if you're nervous about going, check out the reviews. Syracuse Hearing Solutions, amazing reviews. So you must be doing something right.
There you go.
I hope so. Yeah.
Dr. Nicole, you have a great rest of the day, okay?
Thank you. You too.
All right. John Tomino's coming up next. He's the co-founder of In My Father's Kitchen right here on 570 WSYR, 106.9 FM, and YouTube at 3809 Zoey, something like that. Stick around.
It's The Local Show on News Radio 570 WSYR, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now, your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome back and welcome in. This is hour number 2 of The Local Show. Get ready for some engaging conversation with John Tomino, owner of In My Father's Kitchen. We'll also talk with Charlie Van Patten, owner of Mattress Makers, Jeff Zarnowski, orchardist at Z's Nutty Ridge, and then Joe Silvani, the general manager of the Royce Box, all in hour number 2, so stick around right here on The Local Show. It's our pleasure to bring back John Tomino, co-founder of In My Father's Kitchen. How are you, buddy?
Hey, gentlemen. I'm doing awesome. How are you guys?
Good. If people were on YouTube looking at us, they would see your shirt that says Living 180 Degrees.
That's right. We help folks do a 180 in their lives. So they're
I
going
see.
in one direction, and we do a spin around and get them in a positive direction. So it's 180.
Yeah, I love the name of the organization. It's not living in Tom's kitchen, because right now Tom's kitchen is totally
In
gutted
disarray.
and renovated, and it screams, "We're not eating here tonight, dear."
Take out.
In My Father's Kitchen, how'd the name come up?
Yeah, it came up through prayer time. I was doing minding my own business when I was running a restaurant, and during my devotional time in the morning, I just sensed these words could drop in my heart, like in my Father's kitchen. And Father represents God. I'm clergy, so there's a faith part of our life. So it's in the Lord's kitchen, and where the magic happens.
That's wonderful.
And tell us, folks don't know, what exactly do you do?
So we do direct street outreach to the chronically homeless of Central New York. That means we're going to visit folks that are in abandoned houses, under bridges and overpasses, living in the woods in a tent. So wherever people are living that are not meant for human habitation, that's my crew. And then we go out and visit them with supplies and food. And now we bring a doctor with us and all kinds of stuff.
When you say you bring a doctor, is that something new, or had you always done that?
So the last 5 years, so we've been doing this in 2011, so 12 years of existence. 5 years ago, Dr. Lehman from upstate got embedded with us. He was trying to build something out to get out to the streets, and he was having a hard time finding a mechanism. And I said that we already have it in existence. I could introduce you to my friends. And then he started coming out with us 5 years ago in a van that wasn't meant for a physician and medical students. And he's been doing great work over the last 5 years. And one of the things I learned from Doc was don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. So it wasn't the perfect scenario for a doctor, but it was good.
See, yeah. Hey, that's a great line.
Yes.
Yeah, the words that Steve lives by, I think.
It's from out of good to great, actually.
Yeah.
There's a book on that.
Yeah. So
that's where it originates.
Okay.
You know,
I learned it from Doc, so that's my mantra now. Don't let the perfect be. So we want perfect scenarios, but sometimes if it's not perfect and it's still a good opportunity, go do it.
Yes, someone taught me, a friend, a mentor said, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. And people go, what do you mean poorly? Well, no, but think about that, because we won't start. We won't do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And it gets it moving.
Yes.
You mentioned your friends. Tell us about your friends.
So our friends are folks that are, jammed up. I'd say they're broken. They have addiction, untreated mental health. Severe things happen to them in their childhood, trauma, a lot of craziness that happens. So our friends are anywhere from the ages of 20 all the way up to 60, right? So they're my friends. I call them friends on purpose because it makes me accountable to them. Like if we have a friend who calls us in the middle of the night, you're going to answer your phone. So we do the same thing with us and our team. And our friends are in pretty bad shape. Like right now, we have a lot of people living in the woods. I could think of a campsite right now in my head where there's 6 or 7 people living in it, deep in the woods that people wouldn't, you go by it every...
Which woods?
They're around here right by Destiny. I don't want to blow up someone's spot, but you would never know there's 7 people living back there.
No kidding. And
we bring the doctor back there and everything that they need to survive and build relationships, and hopefully they buy into the change.
If a normal person, not that you're abnormal, were just to walk back, they would be, imagine, threatened. Like, who are these people? Why are they in my space? What are they?
Yeah, so when we go into these spaces, we always announce ourselves. So I'll be like, as I'm getting closer, they're in the distance, hey, you announce you're there because you don't want to startle anyone, especially if they're doing drugs and stuff. You don't want to, it's like imagine being in your house and someone just walks in your bedroom, right?
Yeah, well, of course,
or in the bathroom or something, right? So you want to announce yourself, like knocking on the door, right?
Sure.
Stuff like that.
So, I was, I don't know what area of town. It might have been Mattydale-ish. And we were going up and down the road, and I saw somebody on the side of the road. We were all stopped in traffic, and a couple of people were handing out dollar bills, $10 bills or whatever from their window, right? And I said to the wife, I go, boy, John Tomino does this like daily, right? He's interacting with these people, and is it a good thing? In other words, what is their motivation that they're handing people money? What's your motivation for doing this? Do people do it just to make themselves feel better? Or are they really trying to help? Or why do you do all this?
I think if someone has a benevolent heart to want to help, and you see someone suffering, I think the easiest thing to do probably is to reach in your pocket and grab something. But we encourage people not to give money because of the addiction that we see. 95% of our folks are addicted. So the money is going to go to, the majority of that money is going to go to those substances. So I always say, if you're that person who feels like, hey, I need to do something, get a Ziploc bag, put some goodies in it, wet wipes, socks, granola bars, a bottle of water, and then offer it to them. Instead of giving the money, give them the things, you know what I mean? And then you still scratch the itch of doing something, and you go on your way, So
let me ask you this. Are you making any progress? Do people get better, or do just more people keep coming to the streets and keep getting addicted?
Yeah, so we've assisted over the last 12 years 302 people into housing that were out in this situation that I explained. But we're doing great work in our community as a coalition and knocking the number down. But since COVID ended and the memorandum of you could evict people, that whole thing was lifted. This year, right now, I have 80 active cases going.
A case is an individual, living in a compromised space.
Correct.
Is that fair?
Correct.
Right.
So now you have a different van man medical thing. Tell us about that.
So because that doctor has been coming out with us, Dr. Lehman, it wasn't conducive. Like now he's bringing med students out with us. And so it's like cramped and not right. And it's just hard to work in as a doctor. So we were able to connect with the city of Syracuse and get some funding through HUD. And June 15th, we launched our new vehicle. It's like 6 foot longer, 2 feet taller.
Right.
It's built out like a doctor's office inside. It still has the stuff embedded for us as outreach workers to do the things that we do, but now it's also has an exam table. It's all lit up. It's beautiful. If you go on our Facebook page in My Father's Kitchen, you'll see pictures of the inside, the outside.
Right.
It's awesome. So it's built now for comfort for the physicians and the students, but also dignity at a higher level for the person that we're working with.
So really quickly, explain how you take people from not enabling them and giving them all these services and things and make it comfortable for them and get them on their way to living a productive life.
So for me, it's like I won't give someone a tent. Like they'll ask me for tents. No, you're not going to get a tent. I'll give you a sleeping bag, but I'm not going to provide shelter for you, right? So, but then we're going to give you food and water and clothes, right? Because you don't want you to be living out there and disheveled. And then the medical part is if someone's hurting, we're going to bring the medicine to you, right? So all those things are tools to get them to buy into, hey, these folks are legit and they're really trying to help me. And over time, they buy into the work that we're doing and then they say, yeah, I'm ready. And that's what we're waiting for. We just want to be standing there.
And they say they're
real
real quick. They say they're ready. Then what?
Then we do the housing paper. Well, in the meantime, we're doing all that anyway. Housing paperwork, bring them to DSS, whatever they need. But when they're ready, then we really aggressively make the move for them to get connected.
Okay.
That's exciting.
Makes sense. What a wonderful thing you do. You know,
you.
God bless you and all your people. That's John Tomino right there, co-founder of In My Father's Kitchen. And you have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up next, I believe it's Charlie Van Patten, right? Owner of Mattress
I
Makers.
believe so.
All right. Right here on the local show on 570 WSYR.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome back and welcome in, folks. We do appreciate you hanging out with us. Who are we? We're Tom and Steve from The Local Show. And WSYR has given us this opportunity. Well, let's face it, we pay for it.
Let's be honest.
To be on the radio
But
with
they,
you.
you know, in all reality, they wanted us.
Yeah,
And
sure.
came together here 4 years ago, and then we wanted them, and
They wanted you. They walked me out of the building.
no,
long
they
ago.
wanted you. Tom, you know, I didn't do and haven't done radio and still don't do it very well. But you're the guy in that space. And hey, look, people want to listen to the show. They want to hear about local businesses. They want to connect with the community. So kudos to SYR for bringing the audience for us to be able to connect with.
Yeah. Well, you got into radio just at the right time when mediocrity rules. So this is good stuff.
I'm perfect.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I jest, folks. Charlie Van Patten is here, owner of Mattress Makers. How are you there, Charlie?
Very good, gentlemen.
It's great to have you along. And how's the mattress business? How long you been doing this?
Oh, I've been doing it forever, like 50 years at least. My family's been doing it since 1915.
Golly, since
And you know what?
straw, since the days of straw.
That's right. It was originally that straw, right? But it's time to buy a mattress, and I'm going to help you out.
Oh,
because
good.
For starters, don't go to the internet because everything in there is paid. I mean, you can go to a site like Better Homes and Gardens. They're going to tell you the best mattress. Paid. You want to forget that. What you want to do is you want to look around because basically there's only 4 mattresses you can buy. Mm-hmm. You can buy one with a pocket coil. You can buy one with an open coil. You can buy memory foam, or you can buy an airbed. Ha ha.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we've replaced 4 of them in the last month, so what's that tell you?
Yeah.
And then once you've decided on which one you want, you got a choice of soft, medium, or firm. Mm-hmm. It's really simple, but getting through the minutia is the problem.
Yeah.
There's minutia out there?
Yeah,
well,
quite
there's
a
so
bit
many.
of it stinks.
I saw an ad on the internet for some mattress, and they were making it sound so complex, and they showed an exploded view of all these different materials. I don't even know. They weren't like normal materials. I don't know what they were.
They were cheap materials.
They're normal materials disguised. That's like one time I told you guys about this special unique way of putting this organic mattress together with no glue. They got these metal clips. Well, guess what? As I told you, they were hog rings. We order them 50,000 at a time. We use them for 100 years, but they got it on there on the internet. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread, you know.
Yeah, I was chatting with someone this week, and I was talking about you, Charlie, and it wasn't good. No, it was fine. But I said, you know, there's only one mattress manufacturer in Syracuse. They go, what do you mean? Because you hear mattress commercials and mattress outlets and mattresses and mattress that. I said, over there on Bridge Street across from Fleet Feet behind Henry Wilson Jewelers, that's the only local mattress manufacturer.
Right.
So I said, years ago, Charlie used to make them, and Charlie's people would make them and then sell them to a distributor that would sell them to a mattress store that then would, you know, so imagine the markup each time. And I said, he sells direct. They go, really? And it was like, are you serious? I go, yeah.
Well, let's dispel a myth right now, and we should really hammer this home because somebody asked me about your mattresses, and they said, you know, do they compare to Sealy or was it
No,
Sealy?
they don't.
Because they're better.
They're better.
I can see his face. I'm going, here we go.
Any major manufacturer that's out there, your mattresses are better or compete or, you know, tell people.
I'll give you a current example.
Yes, please.
There's only about 4 companies that make foam for mattresses in the United States. Mm-hmm. I just switched to a new foamer. They're a $1 billion company. They sell to Sealy, Serta, and Simmons. I went there and I looked at what they were stocking for the national brands. It's low density, cheap foam. I said, wait a minute, what's going on here? This is not what I want. I want the better stuff. And that's what I'm getting. But so, yeah, we are better than the national brands.
Okay. Well, there you go, folks.
And the reviews are better too.
Yeah, right.
If you go on and Carol just loves to help people, doesn't she?
Oh, absolutely. You have a problem, we take care of it. She'll take care of it. Mm-hmm. No question.
And you can make custom mattresses. So for those people who have camps where maybe they have some twin beds that have been around for a long time, or smaller campers. That's what. Yeah, campers or boats.
Yeah, 'tis the season, and we've been doing a bunch of them. Right. 2 or 3 every day. Short queens, bow of a boat. Just unbelievable.
Can they like pull out that thin wimpy little thing? I remember camper. They're just all. Can they just say, "Here, Charlie"? Can they walk in and go, "Can you make something like this?" And you'd say, "No, ours will be better, I imagine." But is that enough of a template for someone to get something made, or do they need?
Sure.
More than that?
If you bring the old one in, it's important because we can get the exact cut and size. Mm-hmm. It's not a problem.
Right.
Another thing you run into when you're going to buy a mattress is it's on sale, right? Well, they mark it up to mark it down. Yeah. The bottom line is they're working with numbers. They've got a percentage of cost, percentage of margin. They have to maintain that margin. I remember years ago, I talked to Frank Goldberg at Goldberg Furniture in North Syracuse, and he was working on a 46 gross margin, and he wanted more business, so he's going to go to 44 gross margin, and he tried it, and he was losing money, so he went back to 46. Bottom line, there's no deal. You get what you pay for. And when it comes to a mattress, you really get what you pay for. The more you pay, the more you're going to get. but you're not going to get more value because the margin's going to increase. So I remember when 20 years I had a national brand manufacturing facility. I was on the steering committee to sell Sears and Montgomery Wards. We literally sold them a twin mattress that we lost 16%. We sold them a back supporter that we made 38%. So you took so many of these, so many of those, you mix it, and you come out with a 25% gross margin. So bottom line, the person buying that twin mattress was being subsidized by the person buying the back supporter.
A whole bunch of years ago. I mean, I shared this story probably a year or two ago. I went to one of the national regional mattress companies. Everybody knows the name of it, if I were to say it. And I went in, and it was, you knew the salesperson was, if he doesn't buy now, he's not going to buy.
Right.
You could tell. And boy, they turned on the flamethrower, Tom, and it was like, well, I said, well, what exactly is it? Well, we only got one. We got one in the warehouse, and I said, well, my wife said, well, you know what? It's not going to be, and they were just high pressure, annoying, and it wasn't, and you couldn't compare anything. It wasn't like when we bought our mattresses from Carol.
Yes.
Carol's like, well, what do you think? And just this, and she's just like, you just want to buy her dinner when you're done. It was a great experience.
And it's really frustrating. 40 years ago, I had a neighbor that worked for Sears. He sold paint, and the promotional paint, if he sold that, they took money out of his paycheck.
Oh my goodness.
There we go. So we can't fail to mention, and we have a few times before failed to mention, yes,
Cicero.
mattress makers across from Fleet Feet behind Henry Wilson Jewels on Bird Street, but a real outlet, not like all these places say, they're factory outlet right across from Chick-fil-A. That mattress makers, those come from 4 miles up the road in DeWitt. That's an outlet, so you can stop in there also at mattress makers. Tom?
We keep it simple, and if you buy a better mattress, you get more material.
Excellent. All right, Charlie, you have a great rest of the day, and thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
Okay. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Jeff Zarnowski. He's an orchardist at Z's Nutty Ridge. Stick around. We go nuts next on The Local Show.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Back at it. You've got The Local Show, and thank you for showing up and being here all weekend long for Tom and Steve.
They're here just for us.
They're here for us. We are the station.
I don't know.
It's the station takeover.
It's the riveting content for folks over 55. And then, you know what? Show. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because that's us.
Well, and if anything's taught me something, it's been this whole construction project because, the people that we deal with are very good at what they do.
Correct.
And they really care about their businesses. We champion local business. I try to do everything local, but there are some real wing nuts, for lack of a better term, out there.
It's tough. It's messy space.
Yeah, it is.
And the whole, it's hard to get people to work. People don't say that because it's not true.
Yeah.
Say it because it's a challenge. And the problem you and I have, Tom, is we were well parented.
Yeah, we were. Yes.
Okay. And there was excellence. And if someone calls you, return their call, and you give your seat to a young or older woman, you do things. That's what you do.
Yes. And I was always taught, when I started in business, and I would read the Brian Tracy books and the books on sales and things like that, to super serve. You super serve as a business owner. You don't put the onus on your customer.
No, that's it. It's the difference between being a partner and a vendor.
Yes, that too.
Okay,
yes.
A vendor. How much is it? What is it? I'm going to call to 100 people. Is yours the cheapest? Okay, well, I don't know. It's not the same. A partner is, how can we help get it done?
Right.
And
Solution.
we like to champion people getting things done.
Well, next guy up is nuts. Jeff Zarnowski. He's an orchardist at Z's Nutty Ridge. How are you, Jeff?
Doing great. Busy planting.
Did you ever hear you were nuts before? First time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, first time.
Yep. First time.
Why is it every time I look at you, you look in better shape each time? You're like the Jack LaLanne of nuts.
Tom, I think your glass prescription is fading. It looks the same to me.
No, he looks wonderful.
Well, we're busy this time of year, moving
Yeah.
a lot of dirt, digging up a lot of dirt, planting a lot of trees. And it's either going to make you or break you. That's where, that's where we're at right now.
So, what is your property? Explain to me what people see at your property.
If you came up to our place, you'd see a lot of fencing. We have 8-foot high fences, keep the deer out of the nut orchard.
Oh, okay.
And you see rows and rows of trees in all directions.
I see.
And they're hazelnut trees, which are mainly hazelnut trees. And they're about like a lilac bush.
Okay.
So they're nice, pleasant to look at, and it's serene.
Do they have a bloom on them?
They don't bloom that you and I would notice. The flowers for hazelnuts are very little, like pinheads.
I see.
And yet it's pollinated by wind, which is amazing to me because the flower is so small.
Yeah.
But it works.
So if people have not heard you on the show, you've been out a few times, you can grow nut trees in New York. Talk about that for a minute.
Oh, yeah, so people don't realize hazelnuts and chestnuts are native to the area. When they cleared the land back in the 1800s, the understory tree is the hazelnut, and the understory trees went away when they cleared the lands. Chestnuts, on the other hand, they were destroyed by a blight brought in from overseas, China and Korea.
Right.
And so that wiped out the native chestnuts, but now we've hybridized both trees to be large nuts, been very productive, and we're planting them out like crazy, and we now have a nut co-op to help process these nuts.
So who can plant trees?
Anybody can plant trees. The only thing you got to worry about is hazelnuts like sweeter soils, like 5.8 to 7.5 pH, and 7 is neutral. Acid is the lower the number that the acid or the soil is. And so chestnuts like anything below 6.5 pH and lower.
Okay, if you can't tell the pH by tasting the soil, what areas do these trees grow better than others?
Well, generally, you don't want to try to plant them on rocks, and you don't want to try to plant them in swamps.
But different counties or areas, like if I live in Cicero or Clay, but I live in Tully or Casanova, there's certain areas where some do better?
So there's different cultivars that allow trees to be grown in colder regions and cultivars to be grown in warmer regions. So once you know what your zone you are in, you just take your address, look it up on the USDA zone map. Anybody can search that out quick. You quickly know what your zone you're in. Like right now here in Syracuse, we're like 6A. Mm-hmm. You can grow any hazelnut tree that we offer or anyone you can buy in the region. If you live way up in Alex Bay, it might be closer to 3B, 4A, then you get a little more limited in what hazelnut trees or chestnut trees can grow, but we offer trees that will grow there as well.
Okay. How long does it take, and what's a cultivar?
Cultivar is
So when you say how long does it take, how long does it take to get nuts?
Yes.
Get nuts?
Yeah.
That's the important thing. Right? Everybody wants to know when they get their nuts. So if it's a layered tree, which is a clone, which is a cultivar. So that sounds like a lot of series of equivalents, but the reality is once you find a tree that you really like, you clone it. So when you buy a Red Delicious apple in the store today, or you buy a Red Delicious apple store a month from now, you get the exact same apple, exact same flavor you expect. So Red Delicious apples are a cultivar. And so there's many cultivars of hazelnuts that you can plant, and chestnuts as well. So it's an important thing to know that planting cultivar, not just a random seedling, which a lot of nurseries sell.
What's the goal of Z's Nutty Ridge?
Ideally, we'll be the one-stop shop for hazelnuts and chestnuts for the region.
And did you answer the question of how long it takes to get nuts?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Because I'm waiting, I'm hanging here. I'm thinking, can I have them for lunch today? Probably not.
So the whole thing is, there's 3 ways to clone a tree. One is if it produces suckers at the base of the tree, you encourage it to grow roots, and you cut that little sucker off, and it's an identical clone of the mother tree. The other way is through tissue culture, and they call that micro cuttings. Basically, it's a cutting of the tree. You grow it in a lab, you encourage it to grow roots, and you can multiply them out that way, and that's the same way of creating a clone. A clone is another word of saying multiplying out a cultivar. And when you say cultivar, you're thinking of like a Red Delicious apple. In our case, you're thinking of a tree we just patented, we call Photon. Okay. And it's we're cloning that Photon tree. And if it's a layered tree, it takes 1 year. And I'll say 1 year only if you take care of it really well. But by the second year, you should be able to get nuts. And if it's a tissue culture tree, it might take 3 to 5 years before you start collecting nuts.
So this sounds nuts to someone that's not as smart as you,
Right.
and that certainly will include Tom and I.
Yes.
We can get cultivars, which are basically little trees that we plant and can get nuts in a year or two.
For layered trees, yes, cultivar.
Okay, where can they get them?
You can get them at Z's Nutty Ridge, znutty.com, znutty.com.
Do I have to have 50 acres? Can I plant 2 trees, or how does it work?
Yes, all you need is 2 trees. They have to cross-pollinate each other, so you have to get 2 different trees. You can't buy 2 photons or 2 nicas, which are 2 cultivars. You can buy 1 of each, and then you would have nuts.
That's interesting. How about the things you can make with it? Do you have any trees? This is the big question. Do you have any trees that actually, when the buds come out, the nuts come out, they look like Ferrero Rocher, where they're already, they got the chocolate around them and everything?
No,
No?
but our nut cooperative will be making those very soon.
Really?
Okay. I love those. Those are my favorite candy.
The combination of nuts and chocolate
Hazelnuts especially.
is magical.
Yeah. What is that? I'm probably one of the few people who hasn't had a chestnut. Are chestnuts really good? Are they good for you? And are they flavorful?
Chestnuts are cinnamon. It would be like, they call it the bread tree. And you're like, what? What is that?
Yeah.
It's a chestnut tree because chestnuts are much like a dense sweet potato.
Oh, okay.
So they're very starchy, some protein, almost no oil. And our trees that we grow taste like a dense sweet potato, but closer to a pistachio.
And if you get hit by one,
that.
Tom, it hurts. I happen to know that from my childhood, but that's okay. Another time for that.
I'd like to throw a whole bowl of nuts at you. All right. Anyway, thank you, Jeff, very much. Jeff Zarnowski right there. Orchardist at Z's Nutty Ridge, znutty.com. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you much.
Okay. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Joe Silvani. He is the general manager of the Rice Box right here on the local show on 570 WSYR.
Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts and Geddes Federal Savings and Loan. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome back and welcome in. You've got the local show right here on 570 WSYR. Are you enjoying summer so far, Steve?
It just got a little better, Tom.
Why is that?
Some food arrived. So
right.
that's, and it doesn't, it's not like what you would cook, Tom.
No, not at all.
No, but
Not at all
there is
like what I would
food in the studio. And folks that are on YouTube can see it, but you're going to probably introduce these people as I show off the food on YouTube.
Right, on the YouTube
On the
thing.
YouTube channel, so.
Joe Silvani is the general manager of the Rice Box. And, I didn't know somebody else was coming in. And now that I look at the notes, we didn't have his name down. Who's our other gentleman? What
introduce yourself?
Dan Fang.
Dan.
Dan Fang. Oh, yeah, and then we got to do the other microphone, too. Yeah, it's Dan Fang. Right.
There we go.
All right.
You got it figured out, Tom?
I think so. We'll go with that.
Okay. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So the Rice Box, guys, tell us, whoever wants to take the first question, what is the Rice Box? Why did it come about? And what are you doing for the community here?
Rice Box is an eatery. We always called it that. We serve Chinese food. It's been a secret for a while.
Right.
We kept it as just service for our employees for a long time. And after my father passed a couple years ago, we decided to follow through on one of his ideas and open it up to the public.
That's wonderful. Now, it's not just Chinese food. Understand, this is excellent Chinese food.
No, it's outstanding. I mean,
Yeah.
Every corner has a Chinese restaurant. It feels like in different communities, and we had this a few months ago, and we've been ordering it ever since.
Right. Sure.
I think you're. I hate to say this, but you're like a drug dealer. Let's be honest. You're the first ones, you bring it on, and then you get us hooked. And they have a little. You can pick it up at the drive-through. So it's right on James Street. James and was it Catherine? Catherine. Look I got that right. But you pull up, you order it, and it is just as authentic can be.
Yes.
And just delicious. So describe
Such a huge variety, too.
So the Rice Box. Tell us some of the things you brought here today.
Today we decided to go with a little bit of variety.
Yeah.
These are a little bit off the beaten path from the normal classics.
Okay.
If we go clockwise around the
Radio listeners, that's the one closest to my face.
what do we call that?
Is that like a
noodle
shrimp
dish?
curry? What am I looking at there?
Singapore Mayflower?
Okay, so the Singapore mi fan, that's it's a rice noodle that's tossed in a curry sauce.
Okay, I just had some. It's delicious. What's sitting next to that?
The next to that is the kung pao chicken.
Okay, and people are familiar with that, but this looks
It's a little spicy.
extraordinary. Okay, that's great. And I see some lo mein. I see some rice.
Our normal fried rice,
Right.
and our normal lo mein. There's an egg roll there in the middle.
And then what are these things? These things wrapped wrapped in string. So there's something inside that which
Sure.
looks like this, I imagine.
Yep.
And tell us what that is.
So this weekend is in Chinese culture something called the Dragon Boat Festival. And there's a lot of history and lore behind it. Some of the stories talk about a girl who was trying to save her father. Some of the stories talk about an ancient poet and philosopher. And there was some, in history, there was one of the dynasties taking over one of the other dynasties. And supposedly he died in the river.
Oh my goodness.
And
That's not a happy ending.
so the people wrapped up these balls of rice and dropped them in the water so that the fish would eat the rice instead of the body.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So,
That's appetizing.
so it turned into a festival, and
I see.
Got it. Okay.
you can certainly look up more on the internet.
That's interesting. So what do people? It feels like when we've come there, there's typically a crowd. Moves pretty quick, but have people discovered you yet, Joe? Have people discovered you?
I think the word is out there. Yes, it's just each day that I go out and as we're serving, because we bring the food to the cars as they pull up.
Correct.
So they order and they'll call in, say we're here. We bring it out, but to see the diversity of the people, we have firemen, police officers, nurses, just a wide variety of people in the community. I think it's out there.
It feels like when do you ever go through someplace and it feels like the people that are serving you are annoyed that you're in line? I don't get that. They come out with a smile. They'll scan your card. They'll do it right there.
Sure.
It seems like there's a good attitude. I don't know if that's just because you're making people happy with food, or maybe you hire the right people. But it feels like there's a good attitude.
Well, it's all centered around food, which makes us all happy. So that's a beautiful thing.
Right. So when are you open?
Monday through Friday. Our phones open starting at 10 o'clock and we close down at 2. So it's a lunch crowd right now. It's a lunch setting.
And it goes through again. It's right down there. Kind of where James Street comes up, maybe 2 or 3 blocks. It's
from downtown. It's only like a couple of minutes. Yeah,
it's right there. So, do people ever place large orders? I mean, are they does that happen to you? And that must be a challenge.
It is. We have several each week. So the other day, I think we probably had 20 nurses. One person called in and we had 17, 18, 19 dishes to deliver over. But it's a challenge, but it's great. It's great.
Standing people can have standing orders from companies and things like that, right?
Sure, yeah. The companies are starting to call in and say, hey, we're going to feed the feed
wonderful.
the employees 5 and 6, 7.
That sound you hear is me eating the kung pao chicken, just to be clear. Okay.
Daniel, how long has your family been here in Syracuse?
Well, I was born here in Syracuse.
Okay.
My parents came in the late 60s for grad school at Syracuse University.
Okay, great. What was their profession, just by the way?
My father was trained as an architect. In Syracuse, he went into civil engineering and structural engineering.
Gotcha.
My mom was a Newhouse grad.
Oh, no kidding.
So
that's wonderful. And mom's still around.
Mom's still around, yeah.
Oh,
Tom went to Newhouse for a week.
I was up there, yeah. Sure thing. No, they wouldn't let. I couldn't be matriculated. My grades weren't high enough. I had to be in the arts and sciences, but even though I was a broadcast guy. Interesting, yeah. So, and what is your background, professional background then?
Well, I graduated with a degree in electrical engineering.
Okay.
I focused more on the computer and the networking side. So my side of the company has always been around the back end, the infrastructure, and the network.
Wow. Very intelligent.
Well, amazing food.
Yes, it really is incredible.
I guess last time you were on the show, some people found you. That's what when I pulled up. They're like, "Oh, we were on the local show," and I guess a lot of people were able to find you. So, if first go around listeners didn't get to experience the rice box, do that. Is the phone number 214-7310? Is that the right number?
That's correct.
So if you ever eat food, and if you're inclined to eat
Yes.
to eat Chinese food, this is amazing. It's worth it. It's lunchtime.
Yep.
You can get it at lunch 10 to 2. 214-7310. The rice box.
Real simple, right on James Street and Catherine. James and Catherine, real easy to find, right?
Right.
That's right.
All right, guys, thank you both for coming. We really appreciate it. And thank you for bringing food. We really appreciate
Our
that.
pleasure.
All right. Hey, that's going to wrap up the local show, Steve, so you can get off and try and catch a fish, would you?
No, I'll bring it next week.
Yeah, I'd like to
we'll
see
eat that. We won't have the Chinese. We'll eat the fish.
We could show it on the YouTube channel. On behalf of the local show, Zoey Advertising and Tom and Steve, God bless you and your families. Take a walk every day, would you, folks, with a friend or a family member. It keeps the weight down and the mind clear. The local show is heard every Saturday morning from 11 to 1, and then again on Sunday morning from 7 to 9. Listen together with a friend. Until next week, get down to business and keep doing business locally. Tell your friends about the local show right here on 570 WSYR 1069 FM, the iHeartRadio app, and on YouTube at Zoey Advertising 3809.